Greetings and welcome to another exciting adventure on the homestead. Well, maybe not for you, but it scared the bejesus out of me. What happened was 4 of our beehives had gotten top heavy and fell over in the pasture, and we were fixing to harvest them, but I delayed on it, and so they basically fell over, and I had to go back out there, suit up, get my smoker fired up, and put them back together and back on the stands and get them, set back up. The problem is when hives fall over like that, the bees inside think they've been attacked, and they're not necessarily the friendliest at that time. They're a little bit aggressive. They want to protect their territory and their home, which has been destroyed basically. As far as they know, it's been destroyed. So I smoke up as much as I can, called a friend of mine that could call 911 for me in case something horrible happened, and gave him a camera and said, "Here, film this, it might be fun." And it got a little bit exciting there for a bit. I was basically, as you see in the pictures, I tried to speed it up as much as possible. This is actually an hour and a half long process, and I've tried to edit it down as short as I could. But you see me basically putting the hives back together, and when you do that, when they fall over like this, the hives are pretty well glued together with propolis that the bees create. So basically, if they didn't break apart, you have to break them apart and set the brood box down and start building back in reverse order the way that they were set up originally. The bees, meanwhile, they're all over you. You can't see it in this video, but there's probably easily 100,000 or so bees flying in the area, just everywhere, hitting your face, hitting this, hitting that. Not really attacking, but they're kind of like letting me know, hey, get away, leave us alone. We've got a job to do here and you're messing it up. We got to rebuild our house and you're out here screwing things up for us. So you just learn that the bees, sometimes you just got to do what you got to do and help them along. And as you can see in these frames here, I am building the frames back up and setting the boxes on the stand. This is the first one, and I went through and did all 4 of them. Had no problems with the first 3. It was pretty easy. As you can see now, I basically have 3 of them done. And on the 4th one, it's the one I call my prissy hive. They're a little bit aggressive, can be a little bit mean. They don't like to be messed with. And as I mentioned, this hive is a little bit aggressive, and they truly do not want to be, they want to be left alone. When I cracked the box open, that's when they got real aggressive and basically swarmed me at that time. I couldn't see it at the time, but I started feeling stings on my legs, and my legs were basically covered with bees. And you can see them all over my suit as I approach the camera or get close to it, and they were all over my legs. And I decided at that time it's time to best just walk away. So I went, chilled out, and gave the bees some time to calm down, changed to a lighter color pair of overalls, something not quite so dark, and loaded up my smoker with extra stuff and walked out there and started smoking them like crazy again. This time they were a lot calmer because they had apparently settled down, and the smoke was able to get into them a little bit better and a little bit easier. So I was able to start rebuilding that hive and setting it back up and finishing up the stuff for the day. Several of the supers on top, they were all full. 3 out of the 4 were completely full of honey. So at the same time, I just pulled those supers off and decided to just go ahead and harvest those. And when it cooled down a little bit later, well, I did harvest those. I think on the first 3 we got 76 pounds of honey out. And after our bee expert came, we selected some more hive or more frames to pull out, and we ended up with 116 pounds of honey out of these 4 hives. Basically only 3 of them were producing though. So that's a pretty good harvest. If you look at it as about $15 a pound for raw, unnatural, raw, unfiltered, natural honey, that's pretty good return on the investment. I spent about probably $600-700 on beading materials this year, so we got our money back and just made a small profit. And if we keep working well with them, next year it'll be all profit. So what do you do when you have something like this happen to your beehives? Well, you call a professional in. And it's odd that just the night before at a bee club meeting, we had met a young lady that her name is Lauren Ward at Apothecary Bee Company, and she agreed to come out and help us on Friday, and she went through our beehives and double checked everything, make sure everything was okay. So she'll be coming up in the next clip. I strongly encourage, if you're new to beekeeping, don't be afraid to ask for help, because she was able to verify that everything was okay, all was good, and most importantly, our one little angry hive, she was able to locate the bee. We sent it to live with the sent it to sleep with the other bees that are passed on, and got rid of it basically, and requeened that hive. The lifespan of a bee is about 42 days. So with this new calm queen that we put in there, she will start reproducing in about 42 days. Every bee in that hive will be a brand new, calmer, easier to take care of bee. Well, every other one was pointed north and south, and I found that didn't matter a whole lot.
Yeah.
And so I wanted all of them pointing south. That one, the pissy one, we're lucky it's there.
You know you're not going to kill it. That's what it is. I go ahead.
I got to back up, and I said, okay, fine.
I mean, I can pull them out later, but okay. Unless they're real.
They don't need to be in there.
Not right now. Maybe in the fall, like once the weather cools a little bit, but I wouldn't right now. I'll put it there for now. And I like when I'm working them to stand either to the side or the back. Yep. And that's just because this is where the bees are. And yeah, you've already got a couple buzzing. And you wonder.
It could be that one over there.
And they may
Tell me what you want me to hold for you.
Oh, you did. I was just going. That's nice. Sure looks nice anyway. So just every little bit I open, I'm giving them a little smoke. Maybe I'll give that last one a lot of smoke. Yeah. But going slow. Where I'm putting things. I always like to stack things up. I kind of like to stack things up as I go, because what I don't want to do is, just in case we need to find a queen or anything like that, is I don't want to run all of these bees into the bottom and have just a ton of bees down there.
Yeah.
And they're likely to be a little bit more upset simply because they went thunk. Yeah. I would not hold that against them. No. I mean, it's a little bit of time. She didn't sing, but she was telling me she might. I'm not careful.
I can't believe they got them stuck back together after being torn apart the other day.
That one's full on. So there's a super of honey, most of which you might actually get to take. I like to look all the way down before I really decide. This isn't something you have to do every time you check them, is really break them apart like this, but since there's no reason you have them come out,
right,
check them real thoroughly.
Well, I don't think we have really broken them apart. It was probably since like maybe the first time we did it.
That was pretty cool too. Okay, so you're definitely taking one of those.
Okay.
And I'm setting them down to where they're not flat on the bottom. at least exactly what I am.
Okay.
Like that has a little bit of a tray to it, right? That way the queen's hanging down there. I'm not
Got it.
squishing her, and I'm not making everyone super upset. Well, for not having broken apart, they're not all glued together in a terrible way. It tends to make them a little upset.
You're like, hey, all that work.
Yeah, this is a big, strong hive. And it may be them being a little skeeved, like I said. They're not being awful. Really holding against them. After they fell.
That hive came in March of 2017.
So these touch each other all the time. So me touching them doesn't make them stick. Me squishing them does. And me letting them get upset at me does. But the key with having no gloves is, for one, being kind of okay with getting stick. Slow hands, but also put your fingers on first, because if you hit a bee, they'll move, right? So we actually have brood on the outside, which is sort of disorganized, but that's okay. It was a big, strong hive. Look at, like, you got drones, quite a few drones.
Okay.
That's normal.
Those are drones, okay.
Yeah, got some honey, right? And that's a little bit older. See how it's kind of dark?
Yep.
Darker honey.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with the honey, but means it wasn't put up yesterday, right? It's not bright white.
Yeah.
Got a lot of drones. And see how kind of this is all sealed brood, right?
Yes.
See how solid it is overall? Like, there's not a whole lot of holes. There's a few holes, but even those, like, some of them have a little pollen and whatnot in them. Sorry, I got beehives everywhere. So here is what you'll see. Let me see. I know there was one. I was saying in that talk the other day that Varroa, you'll see a lot of spotty brood. So I see a couple of chewed down. So these are uncapped here, and they may actually just be bald-headed brood. They may develop just fine. But see how, like, that one, there's actually a dead pupa in there? Mm-hmm. That one, see how it's kind of chewed down?
Yep.
So that means that one had a problem. But for this time of year, that's actually a low number.
Excellent.
And it's kind of, what they're doing is practicing hygiene. Like, that is being hygienic. That's not, if we had where it looked like you hit it with a shotgun like that, that would be, they're not being able to deal with Varroa. They're not resistant enough. We're going to look at requeening. And these are bees you could always also take a sample and do on the official monitoring methods, because I'm seeing like a Varroa mite on a bee there. You see her? She's crawling right up by her, as she hides. Right by her head. See that little, it almost looks like a tip.
Oh, yeah.
Right by her left eye.
Oh, yep.
So I see a Varroa mite there. I'm not seeing a lot of those. And that's not necessarily a good method to, like, rely on as seeing them, because you're not going to see the vast amount of Varroa. But it's kind of nice when I see the brood pattern like that, and I see, you know...
We got a hive rack right there if you want to use it.
Oh, yeah. I'm lazy. This is what... I kind of look for a queen. However, did I put it down? I was telling someone that the other day, like, it is totally reasonable equipment to have. I'm going to see if they've got honey here, just because, like I said, why not do it? So they don't have any honey really on the sidewall, and that's pretty normal, because they've got a lot of honey upstairs. But the way they want to set things up, they've set this one up. So you got brood down low. Tends to be in the middle down low, but they have so much that pretty much the whole bottom is taken up. Around that, they have baby food, which is pollen, right? And you see all that pollen?
Yep.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the layer that sits around that brood. And then outside of that and above is honey. And you see actually a little bit of, there's pollen, but there's a little bit of honey.
Wow.
A bit of shininess. You see how they haven't developed, like they hadn't gotten this frame all the way drawn out? Like the wax is still
Yes.
hit or miss. It's been on the outside. I'm gonna flip it around. Okay? To kind of force the issue, right?
Now, we had several of the frames yesterday. A couple of them. And it came out of that new hive right over there.
Mm-hmm.
they would have honey in us on one of the frames, and just like a little dot in the middle of all
Really?
the pollen. I mean,
Yeah.
the little pollen spots, and then honey all the way around it.
Of like 10, yeah, like 10 or 12 holes full of.
So maybe our ideal with that hive is more. And they're shoving a little bit of honey in the middle of that. But you see the big larva there?
Yep.
And they've got nectar going here. I might even move that frame out and then another.
Frame is gone.
And I mean, they've got larvae all the way out to here. Yeah, with those wax frames, they'll chew them down like that just because they want a little more moving around. And these bees aren't super docile. If this is good for you, though, I'd leave them. Like, they're not your pet, I live in the suburbs bees.
Okay.
They'll probably do better for it. But I've got some that want to buzz me, right? But they're also real strong. So that's a if these turn into something that's not pleasant for you to work, then consider requeening.
Okay.
But like I said, I also kind of hate to say today that they're really that rough because they did have such rough.
I know, yeah. They had kind of a tough.
Yeah. And normally, so say I've been in this hive before, I'd pretty much be done with my hive inspection. I've seen a few eggs. I wanted to get a better frame to show you those. But I'll kind of go pretty much one end to the other just to, since it's been a while, right?
Yeah, it's been a while.
They're a little bit disorganized. It's like they're hitting little bunches of honey. I mean, because that's a frame. It's got a little brood, but it's got a little bit more nectar than I'd expect them to put right there.
Right in the middle?
Yeah. In fact, what I might do is tell them to put that one up there. So people that are very, very worried about the exact order of frames, as long as you generally keep brood together, you're not doing a lot. I'm not saying that I'm not squishing one. Kenzie, they got a bit upset right there. But you see how they weren't even stinging me yet. They were just kind of, I mean, they were letting me know.
Just letting you know.
But they weren't super mad. They're a little touchy, but...
Well, we're messing with it too.
But like I said,
And you haven't seen the queen yet.
I haven't. And unless you really want to requeen this one,
Now this one's at least 2 years old because we got her in March
Yeah,
of 17.
this is one of Art's bees.
And I bet you anything that's requeened. If this was Art's bees, like I said, he's got good queens. But I know he's not generally selling resistant ones. They would have died of by now.
Oh, okay, yeah, we have not done that.
Like I promise they've requeened.
So, oh, this is a new one.
They probably requeen, like this may be the granddaughter or great-granddaughter of that original queen. And really, they will a lot of time, even before that queen is really dead, about to die, they're going to requeen because they don't want to get in a situation where they really don't have a queen. And she could also be in that middle, or in the middle. I actually think the bird nest may be a little skewed this way, which makes a little bit of sense. I know, but yeah. They're a little touchy. Now we're actually into honey. So I might have to reconcile.
Oh my.
And I mean, it's honey. It's not just a little.
Not mixed with it.
Pretty much. I mean, you want to hold it up just to get an idea of a deep frame. And the reason you don't put deep frames in. The reason that a full deep super is a little bit.
Yeah, you shouldn't lift it.
Yeah.
Well, I personally couldn't lift it.
So one thing I'm noticing, and it may be just my eyes playing tricks on me, but they may be a little bit uphill, right, to there.
Yeah.
It's possible because the
I
problem
tried to level it.
down.
And that's fine. It's not much uphill, but the reason you got brood over here and you got honey there is they tended to build uphill.
Okay.
Easier on up. So this hive is something you've been able to work, right? Like you're
Yeah.
not worried about.
Yeah, we haven't had, oh, look at that. There's nothing
So
on
there's
that.
not, but this was an outside frame. Like going off the rails there. I don't really want to continue that.
That's
Yeah. And they might not ever draw that well, but I'm gonna give them a shot. You know what I mean? Like, that's just more and more and more honey there. Got a screen bottom board, so I would make sure that you close it up at, say, November or so. You know, once we get those cold nights,
Okay.
I'd put that little insert that you have in there.
Okay. Bottom board.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I know.
Yeah, I'm going to do that to all of them. In fact, I've rechanged my thought on it after seeing a few different people talk and different things. They say basically bees know how to keep the hive where they want it to be. And we try to help them out. Sometimes we cause more problems.
No, because that might help them just a little bit. Just making sure I couldn't put a queen down. Not necessarily going to see every queen because I think I'd kill more bees seeing her if I don't need to. She may be in a second. But yeah, so they would not choose a home with an open bottom. You know, they don't really know that you're going to come back and fix that once winter gets there. And so they're pretty well adapted to, it's almost like they make the hive breathe, like circulating air.
So you're moving this other honey frame to the other end?
Yeah, I'm just kind of, so being a beekeeper is about like knowing the biology and then kind of manipulating it, right? Not necessarily in a bad way, like in this case, it's actually going to help them. Overall, we'll try to do things. By taking the honey, they might not be happy, but you leave plenty for them. And you can always too with these, so you got 10 frames in here, and they're actually fitting pretty well, so leave them. You can put 9 and just space them.
Space them out a little bit.
Because it just makes it that much easier to kind of manipulate, not roll bees. That one tried to sting me and then just gave up on it. It's also one of those days where if you're not careful, your smoke just blows.
Yeah.
Right? So,
Yeah, that's what I had the other day, and I put these back. We had a pretty strong breeze. It's like, man, can I get smoke in these for anything? Let it blow across.
Okay, that's what.
I mean, but
I
really,
was like, I'm always so worried about squishing the bees.
don't try not to squish your queen, and try not to squish bees when you can help it.
Sure.
But honestly, you know, especially a hive like
Yeah, 'cause
this,
they're not going to move.
don't expect to never squish one, you know. And in fact, the ones that I'll sting myself on, like I did squish one right there, under the top bar of that. I'll sting myself on those bees. Like I'll absolutely do it. So I'm gonna look through this one just in case we have to. There's a decent likelihood she's up here. Most of the brood I saw down there was a little bit older, like I saw some real young stuff with a couple of eggs, but it kind of looked like she finished out there.
Okay, so she's moved up to make more up here.
Yeah, just because it's a medium doesn't mean she's use it. This is one of those things that they don't usually like. The cleanup, just kind of make it easier. I'll be disturbed that 2 bees have tried to sting me, and my hands are apparently too.
They've had enough that.
Should have a little honey out here, but towards the middle should be good. How bad is this one going to be? they're not. I don't think I'm gonna have to go run into the car. But.
And so, how many stings is an acceptable amount of
That first one,
going through this?
it's whatever you're having with. I mean, it really is. Like, if you're having a hard time working them and finding it pleasant, to me, that's it. Yeah, they would be really extra. You know what I mean? Like we've
Flip
done
it
kind
back.
of everything we could to do right.
Was that her on the other side?
Maybe.
I thought I saw one. There,
See?
right there.
Drone. Just a big fat drone. And really how I transferred that one. You can always hide, you know, in the corners.
Yeah.
When a queen's alerted, like trouble. Yeah, she'll hide. I mean, she'll. Since I've spread these boxes apart, so I can look through this one real well. I can look through the next one. I don't have to worry that my feet is rolling down into that one while I'm looking at this one. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you can at least contain the system. Do y'all have queen excluders, perchance?
What?
I don't think we have a queen excluder.
No.
No worries. It's a kind of a
Yeah,
backup.
a little scrate that goes over.
Yeah, it's kind of a backup I'll use so in a hive that is multiple levels and whatnot. If for some reason you can't find her.
Do you usually keep them on the hives or just?
No, but in a case like this, to say you were having a real hard time finding her, and you wanted to know was she in the top or the bottom, you could put that queen excluder here, and you could come back in 3 days and check for eggs. You could come back in 5 days and check for young stuff. Okay. And you could determine at least, like,
Where she is
I don't need
in
to
the
look
box.
up here, right? It's kind of a good way to make splits, too. All the way through this one. Put the frames all the way back in. This here bees on the side. I get stung in the face because I lean over and I'm really well attached. Crazy reactive though. So if they were like real Africanized, I breathe on them like that to move them, they would right back at me. But not the most pleasant. Still put that one down, even though I put these even in there. I want to look at all the side walls, and I'm going to, as I put those back in, look at them again, even though, like I said, I know she could be top. But sounds like a bee.
And while you're this deep, you think you mess them up to turn that box around?
Not really, no. As many bees as are in here, like if you get a couple to get lost and go elsewhere, they're kind of okay. Here's someone kind of piping, but not like the queen. I don't think, just like I hear them every so often.
I think those might be from other locations coming to check it out.
want me keeping her, I'll put her in something queenless just to keep her, if you don't care.
I will.
She's dead anyway. Well, you don't want to immediately get them out, but I don't beforehand and make sure. And with this one, I wouldn't have even done that if that candy was off pretty hard. So she can't get out of there, but it gives her just enough time for them to get used to her before she gets out. And so I know this is a fun proposition, but will you check this hive? No more than 2 weeks. If you're real good at seeing eggs, there's a smaller hive, I'd say. But it's a big hive. If she doesn't accept, honestly, they'll probably would raise their own. But you don't want them doing that because you didn't like the mama.
Yeah.
This is not a hive that's anywhere near dying. They didn't raise brood for a little while, but check her and see how I put her.
Yeah.
So
So that
because
the
it's
screen's
Texas.
open so they can get to her.
Yeah, screen's open. This is sitting in a big Waterberg comb, so they'll just sort of lick their way through. And the candy side's down. It's not as important right now, but when it's raining a lot, when it's real humid, you don't want that candy to. Yeah, and we need to come out and pull that out. It's not as important to pull the cage out, so I'm actually sinking it in pretty well to where it's not making a big gap. Absolutely can pull.